Hello, everybody. Welcome to Reflect and Review with Pear Deck. We are so excited to share our newest feature with you tonight. We are going to be your host this evening. My name is Mary Alice Fouts. I live in Burlington, North Carolina, and I'm a former elementary school teacher. I taught for 12 years and joined the Pear Deck team last August.
And I'm Amber Trout, and I am was an educator for 11 years prior to joining the Pear Deck team. I live in Colorado, and Mary Alice and I actually started on the exact same day, so we have the exact same amount of time working for this company. Definitely check out our Twitter pages if you haven't already. Those are our Twitter handles, so you can check out what's happening with us and Pear Deck. And also today, we are going to sweeten the deal with all of you. And if you tweet out your favorite part of this session today and tag Mary Ellis, myself, or Pear Deck, we're going to give out 5 Pear Deck swag prizes. And so definitely take a moment to just tweet out about this session and tell us your favorite things, and we will get you some Pear Deck swag. There will be also a 90-day free trial at the end of this today. So just know that you're going to get access to all the premium features we're going to show you, whether you do or do not have a paid version of Pear Deck. So don't worry about that.
All right, thanks, Amber. Let's see what we're going to get covered this evening. First, we're going to show you how to start a Pear Deck session and learn how to leave feedback in case you don't know how to do that. Then we're going to spend a lot of time looking at the Pear Deck session and how to open up the Reflect and Review feature. And of course, we'll be modeling how to use the Reflect and Review feature from both the teacher and student perspectives. So before we get into anything, we want to tell you a little bit about Pear Deck in case you are brand new to it. It is going to live within your Google Slides. It's actually a Google Slides add-on. I'm going to briefly show you how you can get that add-on in case you've never installed it, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So to get the Pear Deck add-on, you'll just make sure you're within a Google Slideshow and come to your add-ons drop-down menu. From here, you'll click Get Add-ons. And then you'll be looking for the Pear Deck icon, of course. Just click on that and click Install. Pretty simple, allow all those permissions. And once you've got that set up, it'll be good for you to use. You only have to do this step one time. Each time you plan on opening and using Pear Deck with your Google Slides, you'll want to open that add-on up. So after it's installed, to get it open, you'll come back to your add-ons drop-down menu. This time you should see Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, open the Pear Deck add-on. Now from here to the right-hand side of your screen, this is called our Pear Deck sidebar, and this is where I say all of the Pear Deck magic happens. Over here at the top, we have our template library. This is going to be a great place for you as educators to get started because our template library has lots of pre-made templates ready to go for you to use at your fingertips. We have lots of different sections from lesson builders, learning development, including our social and emotional learning templates, and lots of subject area templates at the bottom. And the very best part about all of our templates, doesn't matter where you find them, they are all 100% customizable. So if you see something that you like, but it's not quite what you're looking for, everything can be edited. So you can change out any colors, words, pictures, numbers, images, all of those great things. A very great place to get started because you can tweak what you see and then you're not having to start from scratch on a slide. Underneath the template library in our sidebar, we also have 6 custom question types. These are going to be elements that you can add to your pre-existing Google Slides and turn them into interactive Pear Deck slides for your students to keep them engaged in your lesson. I'm going to briefly describe them all, but I do want you to know in just a moment, we're going to invite you all to join us in a Pear Deck session this evening. So if you haven't experienced these in the classroom or with your students, you will get a firsthand perspective this evening. Our first question type is text. Pretty self-explanatory. Students will type text next to the slide. We also have choice, multiple choice options. Number slides here allow your students to only enter numerical values, and when you take a look at those numbers as they come in, they will display in a range of numbers for you to see. And then last on the top row, we have our website tool. This one is really neat because it will allow you to embed just about any website on the internet right within your Pear Deck lesson. If you've been using other great tech tools and sites like Flipgrid, Quizzes, Kahoot, we could really go on and on. You don't have to stop using those with Pear Deck. It doesn't have to be either or, it can be both, because those sites will now seamlessly embed within your Pear Deck lesson, and Pear Deck really becomes that hub of learning for your students. And then on our second row down here, we have our drawing and draggable tools. These are our premium interactive elements. They are going to be your go-tos most likely. They're extremely versatile, and they're going to do just about everything that you want them to do in the classroom. Our drawing tool does far more than drawing. You can highlight, type directly on the slide as the student. You can draw and all of those great things. And then our draggables are just going to be icons that you can add to your slides. Students can drag those icons around on the slide to show their understanding. And then underneath our question types, you do have the ability to add audio to your Google Slides. That has a lot of great purposes for your classroom, from giving directions, giving extra content in case you are not there to support them live, or even providing read aloud modifications. So once you have used this great sidebar and all the elements in it to prep your lesson, you will be ready to start that with your class. And when you are, all you have to do is click that Start Lesson button at the top of the sidebar. Now that is very easy to do, we know, but Amber and I always like to say, don't be tempted to click that white present button above that. You do not want that button anymore with Pear Deck, because you'll still get regular old Google Slides. So instead, you can always remember that you want the Start Lesson button because it is green, and green means go. Now, after you click that, you're going to have two different options of the ways you can share your lessons with your students. First way is instructor-paced activity. This is where you, the teacher, and the instructor are in control of how quickly you are working through those slides. This is going to be your real-time live teaching, no matter what your learning environment looks like, whether your students be in person with you or at home, or any combination of the two. On the other side, we have student-paced mode. This is where your students are going to be in control of how quickly they are working through the slides. You do not have to be right there with them unless you really, really want to be, because this is going to be your asynchronous learning option. Now, a really great thing about our modes is you can toggle freely between the two. You are never stuck one way. And so because of that, some teachers really like to blend those two modes together. If you are interested in how that blending works, we're going to do it with you tonight. We'll be starting in instructor-paced mode in just a moment. And eventually, before we leave today, we're going to do a little check for understanding with reflect and review and let you work in student-paced mode for a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and click instructor-paced activity here. You're going to notice a lot of things are going to begin to change on my screen. We'll talk about what those things are. This first element that you see, this extra window, is called my dashboard. It's going to go behind the scenes for now. It will come back in a little bit. And you can see Perry here in a big gray box. Anytime you see him in that big gray box, that means you have started your lesson the right way. So really good indicator there. And we are going to invite you to join us this evening. You can do so in one of two ways. First, you can go to joinpd.com, just open up a new tab and enter that website. And then this evening, you will enter the letters N, Q, E, D, J, G. Also, I am going to give students a link right here underneath Perry. I'm going to put that in the chat for it to get over into the comments. And I'm also going to be joining tonight as a student. So I'm going to open up a new tab, paste that right in, that direct link. If you use that direct link with your students, it will bypass the need to have to enter those letters. So if you're working with students who are still remote, or maybe those littles and you don't want them to have to type a lot of things, that direct link is a great option for you. Also, the direct link is going to work in any of your learning management systems. If you want to go ahead and set up an assignment in advance, you can do so very easily. All you would need to do is give it a title, give it some directions, and paste that link in as the actual document that your students will be working from. All right. In case you did not know as well, you have a little indicator down here of how many students have joined your lesson. That's just good classroom management for you. If you haven't quite joined us yet this evening, that's okay. I am going to press continue here. That join code will always be in my upper left-hand corner tonight, so you can always join us later if you change your mind and haven't quite joined. NQEDJG, you can enter that by going to joinpd.com. and the direct link will also be in the chat. So Amber is getting ready to take it over here. I'm going to go ahead and give her our co-teacher link. I'm just doing that behind the scenes. The last time Amber and I were together was showing our shared teacher dashboard. So we're going to be using that in full effect tonight to show you Reflect and Review. So Amber, you can go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. And so I'm maneuvering two screens here. So just as I'm getting in here, just a moment. But we definitely want you to know kind of what the mission and vision of Pear Deck is. Pear Deck is on a mission to help teachers deliver these powerful learning moments to every student every day. And now with Reflect and Review, you're going to be able to have these learning moments and powerful things happening even after the session ends. And so we're going to make sure to show you that all today and be able to walk you through all of it. All right, so we're first going to start out with, in what ways do you currently leave feedback for your students? What are some ways that you already do that? Or whether you're in person, remote, whatever you're doing, what are some ways that you are currently leaving feedback for your students? So we can kind of see those. And Mary Ellis, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and show those responses. That would be wonderful. Awesome. Thank you. So you're going to see as these are coming in real time. For those of you that maybe are not familiar with Pear Deck and unsure how it works, some of you, you're going to see these coming in real time on your screen, and you're also going to notice that they are anonymous. So that is one of our greatest features is when we do this, it's going to be sure that nobody is going to see the name attached to these answers, and all students can feel comfortable putting an answer out there. So it looks like we have some people that are giving it verbally. Absolutely, right? As a teacher, we always just walk by their desk and be able to tell them what we see and what we need to have them change. But we obviously were not able to do that this last year as much. And so we're going to, of course, see a lot of that today, how you can leave some different kinds of feedback other than verbal. So it looks like, oh, we're using comments on a lot of different things. Awesome. Yes, we're always commenting on things on our side too. Through the Pear Deck teacher dashboard. Awesome. There is definitely abilities to leave feedback in the dashboard. I'm looking through some more of them. Private comments in Google Classroom. Yes, that is a great way to utilize that as well. Text, voice, video. Ooh, I like it. I like it. I am a big fan of somebody's mentioning Flipgrid too. I think that's a great way. You can embed those in your Pear Deck and then be able to give some feedback that way too. So lots of different ways, but we want to, of course, introduce you to the ways that you can use them. You have something, Mary?
I have to just say, I saw sticky notes on her a lot. I love a good sticky note too, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and I think I saw in the chat someone was mentioning about a feature about uploading images. And what I did today actually is I just embedded a Padlet into my Pear Deck, and then they were absolutely able to upload images. And that was another way that I could provide feedback, but also have students give me actual pictures and other things like that. So just something to note. Awesome. So thank you. Let's go ahead and move on forward to the next one. So what do you wonder about Reflect and Review? We want to be sure that we're answering your questions throughout this today. I am going to do a live demo with you, so don't worry about all of that. You're going to see exactly how it works, but we just want to take note of some questions that you might be having so that we can, of course, address them. So let's see what we have here. All right, it looks like I want to know how this will work with my face-to-face. Absolutely. The nice part about this Reflect and Review is that you're going to have the ability to put these comments in there that are going to be private for those students to be able to look at later. So those kids that don't want to be called out in the classroom, or you don't really want to say it in front of other students because maybe they are struggling a little bit more than others, it's going to be a great way for you to provide that feedback for students to feel comfortable looking at it and not having everybody else in the classroom hear it. Kind of like when you do verbal feedback, kids around can hear that. And so it's nice where you can kind of be really anonymous with that and the kids won't know, and it will be a really great way for students to still get that feedback from you. So can Reflect and Review be presented live? So if you're doing a live session, you can give out feedback. And when you give out feedback, you're going to be able to, of course, see that live. But reflect and review is going to be something that you can use after the session has ended to continue giving feedback and to give the students the ability to look back at their work and all feedback that was given live and after. So that's kind of how it works, and we'll check that out as well. Can students respond to the feedback? So in a live session, yes, because they're going to be able to type in real time. When we're going back through the reflect and review, it's going to be, hey, these are things that we've already talked about, and this is just for your own knowledge for you to be able to come back to when you need to. Let's see. Will it always be available for students? Easier than takeaways? We do think that it is a little bit easier for students than it was with takeaways. I know with takeaways, it goes into a folder, and then the kids have to find that lesson in that folder and be able to access it that way. This is going to be a very simple one-click copy and paste the link, and you're going to be good to go. So we'll look at all of that today too. Just wanted to see if there is anything else that stuck out to me. All right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move forward here. And Mary Ellis is going to take a moment and tell you about the different views that you're going to be seeing as you're using it live.
Yes, so with Pear Deck, we do have 3 different views, and sometimes that can be a little confusing. So we have this great graphic that's going to help you wrap your brain around those views. The first view at the bottom is called our student view. So actually, when you join tonight and you clicked that link or you entered the code, that's going to be the student perspective. So anytime the student is joining your session and interacting with those elements on their device, that's the student view. Our second view is called the projector view. That's what you're seeing displayed out on my monitor right now. Amber mentioned previously that what you share with your students is anonymous, and so that's going to be shared out on the projector. It obviously gets its name because this is what you would be displaying on your projector or smartboard in the front of your room for all of your students to look at. And then we do have that third view that you can see in the teacher's hand. That's called our teacher dashboard. It's one of our premium features that you're going to get to try out if you do not have premium Pear Deck. And I just drug it back in. If you didn't remember when I started, it was that extra window that popped up. This dashboard is going to be where all the names are attached to those responses. It's also going to be where you as the teacher can drive the lesson. This can be opened up on a separate device. Actually any device that has the internet. So including your smartphones, if you wanted to do that, you would just go to peardeck.com/dash. You can take that smartphone or that iPad or that tablet. You can navigate your whole lesson from your fingertips, and you can circulate around your in-person classroom to best support your students that way as well. So you're never tied to the front of your room with that projector view. One important thing to note about our dashboard view is that you never want to share it with your students because this is where their names are going to be showing. So you would be taking away that anonymity, that safety, and really one of the most powerful things that works with Pear Deck is that anonymity. So you're creating that safe environment so that all students will be engaged every single day. So I am going to take us back to maybe our first slide here. So I can show you the difference between the views. I'm going to keep them layered. In the background, this is my projector view. This is what you would share with your students anonymously. You can tell there's no names there. And in the foreground, this is my dashboard view. This is where I, as the teacher, am looking at who said what. There are also some other great features within the dashboard. The star will allow you to highlight a response if you want to showcase that. The 3-dot menu will also let you hide a response. If you ever get anything inappropriate, you can take that away so that your whole class isn't seeing that. But the most important thing we want to touch base on tonight within the dashboard is your comment bubble. And so your comment bubble is going to allow you to respond to your students' responses. So let me go back to my student side really quick. I'm just going to type a hi here so that I can demonstrate for you what that looks like. I'm going to leave feedback on my own response, which should be at the bottom here, because in case you did not know, your responses are going to be defaulted to come in by time, which is really good too. So then your students never know who is in what order. They're not going to memorize that Amber comes first because she starts with an A. So here I am down here. I'm going to leave feedback for myself. Now I can type anything that I need to here, like take a closer look at something. This is going to be live during your lesson. It works in both modes. So whether you are in instructor pace mode or student pace mode, you can leave the feedback here. Just send that feedback to the student. When they get it live, it will look like this on their side. In my bottom right-hand corner on my student view, I have that same comment bubble with a little notification. So if I click on that as the student, I will be able to read what the teacher wrote to me, and I can mark that as read. Now, something really great about Reflect and Review is that before, when you left feedback in a live session, that feedback didn't translate anywhere else. Your students did not see that on the takeaways. But now with Reflect and Review, any feedback that you leave live is also going to be accessible after you end your session. So that's the great part about this feedback. It's all going to be streamlined together. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that red as the student. We will come back to our dashboard here, and that is how you can leave feedback for your students during your session. Now, I'm going to switch it back over to Amber. Let me pull my dashboard back behind the scenes, and Amber is actually going to share her screen now so that she can show you how Reflect and Review work when you're ending your session.
Sorry, I was on mute. Okay. There we go. And there's my other session. So what we're going to do is walk through this and kind of give you a demo of how Reflect and Review works. And of course, where do you get it? How do you access it? It's going to come up at the end of a session. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you on this session that I have here. I'm going to click on end. I do have a written document in here, or written slide, where you're going to be able to go through and be able to do this yourself and be able to look at it later, but I just want to be sure that I show you how it works in real time. So this is just a reference, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. So what I'm going to do is click on the right-hand side where it says end, and I'm going to end my session. Once I do that, it's going to come up with this window, which is super easy because it tells you it's the Reflect and Review window, and you know exactly what you need to do and where you need to go because it's very easy. You can just click on Open, Reflect, and Review, and it'll take you into the teacher side. You still have access to those takeaways if you're wanting to utilize those still, and you can still share it to Google Classroom. Super easy using this button. Now, the button up here is going to be the one that you are going to use with students. So this is going to be their own link. Now, here's the nice part. This link is going to go to the student, and it's going to open up their individual ones. It's not like a generic code. It's going to be their own personal one that they're going to get their own Reflect and Review page from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this because I do want to put it in a second tab today and show you the student side. But before we go into there, I'm going to show you the teacher side. So I'm going to click Open, Reflect, and Review, and it's going to pop me right into the teacher side of the Reflect and Review. And what I can do is click on the students to select the ones I want to look at, either here or up here in the right-hand corner. They do the exact same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and click here in the middle, and I'm going to choose a student. And when I choose the student, it's going to now give me an individual look at every slide that that student has responded on and the things that maybe have been given as feedback during the lesson. And of course, I can leave additional feedback now. So right here is an interactive slide. And what I can do is I can click on Leave Feedback. And I can see that this feedback came in and it was during the live session. So I can see what the teacher told me there. And I can add additional feedback and say, this looks great. And then I'm going to be able to send that. And now it's going to have the newest feedback for the students to be able to see after the session has ended and the one that they were directed to during the live session. So you're going to have both of them now in this Reflect and Review for the students to look at. So again, this is the teacher side. This is where you are going through individual students' work, leaving comments and feedback if you'd like, and being able to guide the learning after the lesson has ended. Now you can, of course, select up here in the right-hand corner for additional students if you're wanting to just go through different students and looking at their work and being able to look at the feedback that you provided to them. So easy for you to add more or look at the ones that were given during the live session. Now, this is all the teacher side, which is awesome. And this is going to be where you're probably going to spend most of your time. But I know that you want to know what the student side looks like. So here is what students will see. I put that link in there, I hit enter, took me here, and it says, okay, I can return later if I want, so I can copy this link and be able to save it somewhere, maybe in a document or in something where I can just click on it again. Or I can just click review work, and it takes me right into my own personal session of it where I can go through and look at what the teacher has said. It tells me up here like, hey, it looks like the teacher has added new feedback now, so I need to go to that. So I can click on the little feedback bubble here, and it's going to show me that there's feedback, but it may not be on this front slide. So see right here where it says go to that slide. I click there, takes me right to the slide that feedback is on, and now I'm going to be able to look at what she was referencing when she gave me this feedback. So now I'm going to see that, and I can quickly go to it. I can mark it as red on my side, so that way I know, hey, I checked that out, I fixed it, I'm ready to go with the next part of the feedback. Now, there's also the ability to look at all the feedback here and just scrolling through it, or I can just go through it like kind of like student pace mode, where I'm going to be able to just click through the slides myself and be able to see what feedback has been given. Now, just so you know, this reflect and review slide that the kids are going to get, slide deck, is going to be something they cannot edit. It is only going to be something they can look at and be able to review the feedback, but they're not going to go in there and change any answers or be able to continue working on the lesson. You would have to put that in student pace mode and reopen the session for them to do that. This is just going to be reviewing the things that they have already done or looking at feedback that was already given. So I just want to point that out. So again, this is what students will see, and this is what they're going to be able to access with the reflect and review link. Say that 10 times fast, right? But again, this is going to be an easy way for you to access all of it and go to the slide that it is on as a student.
All right, and now we're going to start sharing my screen again. And we're going to test your knowledge. So I know that was a really quick run through of reflect and review, but we also wanted to give you some time to see and experience student pace mode. And we're going to use this time as a formative assessment piece for us. So we're going to do what we would hope you would do in the classroom, right? We're going to give you some time to check for understanding, and we want to use these slides that are coming up after this to be able to support you and go over anything that we might need to clarify a little bit more. So I'm going to show you how to put it in student pace mode during the middle of your session if you ever need to do that and you've never done it. All you have to do is go to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and click the 3-dot menu. From here, you just click Turn on Student Pace. You will see Perry pop up. He's going to make sure you really want to do that. You just say, okay, got it. Now from here, let's all look at your student side. In your bottom left-hand corner, you should have some arrows there. Those arrows were not there before. Before I was in control and Amber was in control of which slide you're looking at. We have relinquished our power. You are now in control, and we'd love for you to work through those slides at your own pace for just the next few moments. You will know when to stop because you will see a big giant stop sign, and we will come back together then. Also, feel free to put in any questions in the comments. We'll be happy to start fielding those, getting those in so we can answer those for you as well.
Yes, all right. I was looking at some comments that were happening in here, and I just wanted to point some things out. So during the reflect and review phase where the students are in there looking at their work and the feedback, remember that is not something that they can edit. So they're not going to be able to leave additional feedback for the teacher or things like that. It's just going to be for their own knowledge to review it and to be able to come back to that information later, kind of like notes basically, but the teacher can continue adding notes in there for the students to review if they need to.
Right. And I personally, I taught elementary school, so I can see how reflect and review is going to be much more user-friendly from the student perspective for those littles. Even I taught third grade, you know, they're kind of upper, not quite so independent, tech savvy. So reflect and review would be a really great option for your younger students as well, because they're not having to go to the takeaways, scroll through the deck, find the deck, look at the smaller version of the slide. This is going to be a much more similar view to them as what they see with the slides when you are teaching during your lesson. So it should be a very easy transition for them to use Reflect and Review in your classroom.
Absolutely.
All right, I am just looking at my dashboard side of things. I think I'll pull it in really quickly so you can see what happens when you get into student pace mode with your students. If you just want to glance back at my screen, when you turn on student pace mode, you do relinquish your power, as I mentioned, but you don't lose track of where your students are. These little blue heads start to pop up on the slide preview over here, so I can tell that there are 2 of you still on slide 14. If I actually click on that blue head, it's going to tell me the specific students that are on that slide. So even though you are not in control of what slide your students are looking at, you would be able to tell where they are working. So based on this, I can see that we are almost all to that stop sign. So I'll give us a couple more moments to finish up, and then we will talk through the slides that you just looked at.
I feel like we need like the Jeopardy music or something like right now. I mean, I can't do it for you.
But I'm not going to do it. I can't do it justice. No.
Just so you know, I'm not doing it, but I feel like that's what we should have right now.
All right. We'd love for you to go ahead and get to a good stopping point. If you are on slide 15, you are almost done. So you're doing great. What I'm going to do is go ahead and turn off student pace mode. So once you turn it on, you always have the option to turn it off. You can go back and forth as many times during your lesson as you need to. When you are ready, if you would like to turn it off, you just click Stop Student Pace Mode in your bottom right-hand corner. Now, when you do click that button, it will wrangle all of your students back together, back to your current teacher slide, and so then you can continue going at your rate instead of everybody working at their own pace. So let's come back to this first slide today. Where would you click to share, reflect, and review with your students? So let's show responses here. All right, so there are a couple of different options here. This copy button, I'm actually going to hide them so you can see. This copy button here is the button that you would want to click in order to share that direct link with your students. Now, remember that direct link is only one link for you, which is really nice. You're not having to go through and find 20 different links for 20 different students. That direct link, when you send it to them and they click on it, will be their individual Reflect and Review student side. If you wanted to click Open Reflect and Review, you would also have the ability to send them the link from there in case you forgot to click it right here.
And then Mary Ellis, can I point out too that when you're in this Reflect and Review screen that comes up at the very end, if you click out of there, it's not gone forever. Like, you're going to be able to still find that and be able to come back to the Reflect and Review page, even if it's a day, 2 or 3 later. So just know that that little screen that comes up at the end, you don't have to click on it at that very moment. You're going to have access to it a little later.
Right. So if you have ended the session and certainly as a teacher haven't had time to do your own reflecting and reviewing, you might want to share that immediately. All right, let's go on to the next slide. Where would you click to select an individual student to look at their work holistically? And this had 2 correct answers. We got it spot on for this one. You can click here. Perry's always going to pop up first. So if you are trying to navigate to any student from the get-go, this menu would be here. Otherwise, you can always look in the upper right-hand corner and be able to navigate to individual students from there. What are some benefits of using Reflect and Review? Now, this is multiple choice. We haven't looked at that one yet. When I click Show Responses here, you're going to get this great bar graph. I always like to plug right here that our multiple choice slides are really great for using as a poll in your classroom if you ever needed to take a quick one, because you've got all that live feedback coming in for you. And this slide is also one of my favorites because you can really see how Pear Deck was designed as a formative assessment piece in your classroom. You always know where your students are lying. You always know what they're understanding, who needs more support, who's ready to go for some enrichment, things of that nature. So the correct answer for this one is all of the above. Reflect and review is going to help you and your students look at their work holistically. It's going to prompt that metacognition, that thinking about their thinking, because they're going to be going back to look at their work and say, well, let me think a little bit more about that. Why did I make that response? And of course, you would be able to extend your learning after the lesson. And hopefully that's going to be a little bit easier format for your students to be able to extend that learning as well. And then this last slide that we included here that we're going to touch base on, this is our website tool. Nothing fancy from the teacher side. The student side is always where that fancy stuff lives. This is what a website looks like when it's embedded. It will work in all the same ways as if the student had opened it up in a new tab. So all the same functionality. This is showing you our wonderful Pear Deck badges that we have. If you use the Reflect and Review feature, you're going to be able to unlock our newest badge, our reflective badge. So if you want to take a look at all of the badges that we have to offer, you can see them listed here on the website. And now you can add the reflective badge to your collection. Actually,
Which
got mine
today. Did you get yours today too? I was just going to say, I got that in my email today.
Did. So that will be prompted in your email. You'll never have to go find and figure out where it is. All right. So before we wrap up, in 1 minute, we would love for you to tell us maybe what's the most exciting thing you're taking away from today. What are you excited to share with your students as far as Reflect and Review is concerned? What are you excited about now? What makes you ready to use it, Reflect and Review? Also, if you have specific questions, now is a really great time to put them in the chat as well, and we will get those answered and responded for you before we leave this evening.
Absolutely. I'm going through and I'm looking in the teacher dashboard.
I shared my screen.
So yeah, I love that somebody is mentioning, love that students can keep their notes after the class. This is really great. So yes, yeah. It's basically that. It's like, after a session ends, and sometimes in Pear Deck, it's hard to go back to those takeaways. They're lost in all the other takeaways. And now you're going to be able to utilize the Reflect and Review feature for that.
Yeah, this is a good one too. How easy it is for the students to find the feedback. Go to the slide, right? They're not going to have to fish for where you commented. They are going to be prompted. It's going to be really easy for them to navigate.
Absolutely. So yes, lots of great things that you can do with feedback. As you know, Mary Ellis and I were teachers before, and feedback is like key. You always have to give feedback in order for students to grow. So we heard you loud and clear, and we wanted to make sure that we made it as easy as possible for you to provide that for your students.
And we have a phenomenal product team. So we don't happen to be the faces that are sharing this with you, but we have some outstanding folks that work at Pear Deck, and we're able to, listen to you and give you what you need to best.
We're not the miracle workers; they are.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely.
Also, I want to mention that if you hadn't been here from the beginning, we are giving out 5 Pear Deck swag prizes. For those of you that would like to just go and tweet out about this session today, you can tag Mary Ellis, myself, or Pear Deck about your favorite moment in this session that we did today, and you can, of course, get in a drawing to win some Pear Deck swag. So we're going to be giving those out. So don't forget, take your screenshots or put your information in a tweet, so that way we can pick some winners for our Pear Deck swag. And also, we are giving away 90 days free Pear Deck to those of you that joined today, so you can play around with this premium feature for those of you that don't have access to it. So we're going to make sure you get that in the chat, and you're going to have 90 days from when you click it and you sign up that you're going to be able to utilize it.
Correct. You will each have your own 90 days. So if you're not quite ready to start using it, maybe it's getting to your summer break, and you might want to wait till closer when school starts back. You can always hang on to it.
Yes, we always let teachers know that it's not until you click it and sign up that your 90 days starts. So if you click on it today, don't sign up. It's okay. You still got 90 days. So you're good to go.
I just saw this question, Amber. Do all co-teachers have the ability to access and share out, reflect, and review? So we actually experienced this today.
Yes. So yes, you absolutely do. Co-teachers have access to that feature as well. So no problem there. It will work for you the same way.
Yep.
Mhm.
Let's see. I think I see another one. Do takeaways allow you to see all responses on one slide or only individual student responses? So takeaways work a little bit differently than reflect and review. With takeaways, students are going to be getting a Google Doc of all of the slides and their individual student responses. The takeaways will be emailed directly to your students. If it ever gets buried in their email, it always lives in the Google Drive shared folder, so they can always access that. But as far as the takeaways allow you to see all the responses, no, the takeaways are going to be individual student responses based on the individual student. And if you do have access to editing rights to that. So if you want your students to have the takeaways, they are still very much available to you. And you can use the comment feature in there to have that two-way conversation within the takeaways if that's what you're looking for. Do you see any other questions there, Amber?
I don't, not at the moment. So thank you so much for joining us today. We know that it's your summertime, or it's time for you to relax and watch Netflix usually at this time. So thank you so much for joining us and taking this time out of your evening to learn about this great new feature. And again, take some time, go ahead and tweet out your favorite part about this session, even if it is between the jokes that Mary Ellis and I tell. That's okay too. We're going to be able to get in a drawing for some Pear Deck swag. So
yep.
Definitely.
We would love for you to stay connected with us on Twitter. You can see both of our handles there. We thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope you have a really wonderful summer. Goodness knows you've all earned it this year. So take some time, relax, rejuvenate, play around with Reflect and Review, and thanks for joining us this evening.